Hello, and welcome to episode 215 of Rivers Arcade Review. My name is Ed. This channel is dedicated to the coin-operated video games of yesteryear. Today I'm doing a viewer request. Today's game was requested by the viewer Gray Holland 2796, and the game they requested was R-Type. R-Type was released in 1987 by Irem and licensed to Nintendo of America. My first time playing this game was on MAME. R-Type is a side-scrolling shooter game in which you control a spaceship with an 8-way joystick and 2 buttons. One to fire, and one for the force pod control. The evil Beidou Empire rules the galaxy through fear and intimidation, and it's up to you to do battle through 8 stages to defeat the Beidou bosses as well as the Beidou King himself. You control a starship R9 named Arrowhead through 8 stages in order to defeat each of the bosses per stage. The playfield will continually scroll to the left. It will scroll one full screen length every 15 seconds. Your ship will consistently fly and face to the right. You are able to move your ship over the entire playfield, although you can't reach the left and right edges. Pressing the fire button will cause your ship to fire a shot straight forward and to the right. You can have up to 3 shots on screen at a time. In addition, you have the ability to charge your weapon in order to destroy more enemies. There is a meter at the bottom of the screen. By holding down the fire button, this meter will begin charging. It will take just over a second to fully charge your weapon. You don't need to fully charge your weapon to use it. The longer you charge your weapon, the more damage it'll do. In addition to your regular shots, you can collect power-up orbs. These orbs will increase your firepower. There are multiple types of these orbs. I will cover them as they come up. Gameplay begins with your ship flying in from the left, and it will fly all the way down to the right before it will return to 1/3 of the way from the left, and then you will have full control of your ship and gameplay will begin. You will immediately face 2 sets of red-winged ships. These ships will fly in a serpentine pattern. These and all further enemies can easily be destroyed by a single shot unless otherwise stated. After the red ships, you will then face 2 sets of orange bug-shaped enemies. These enemies will also fly in a serpentine pattern. While battling these enemies, you will also face a blue-domed enemy that will walk on the surface. This enemy will walk from right to left and fire shots at your ship. You will then face even more red-winged enemies. During this battle, you will face a flying robot that has a large red eye. Destroying this enemy will cause a force pod to appear. Collecting this pod power-up will cause the force pod to fly in from the left. Once this connects with your spaceship, you will have extra firepower. Using the force pod button will cause the pod to detach from your ship and go forward toward the right side of the screen. While disattached from your ship, the pod will fire shots at the same speed as your ship. Pressing the force button will cause the pods to return to the left. If it comes in contact with the front of your ship, it will reattach itself, although if it passes your ship, it will continue on to the left, although it will still fire shots at the same speed as your ship. These shots will not damage your ship. Pressing the force button with the pod behind your ship, it will begin moving to the right, and it will dock with the back of your ship. Just like earlier, if the pod misses your ship, it will continue to the right. After the second wave of red ships, you will face a large humanoid alien. This alien will fly around and shoot at your ship. It will take approximately 20 hits to defeat this enemy. While battling the green alien, a small blue walker will appear on the ground. Occasionally, this enemy will pivot up and fire rockets at you. It will take 5 hits to defeat this enemy. During the battle with this enemy, you will face more enemies from before. You will then come across a narrowing in the walls. You must pass through this opening, otherwise you will lose the life. While flying through the gap, you will face a swarm of brown aliens. Not only will these aliens shoot at you, but there will be guns mounted on the walls that will also shoot at you. You can shoot these guns not only for extra points, but to reduce the number of shots at your ship. While battling these enemies, you will also face another red-eyed enemy. If you have the force pod on screen, it will release the power-up pod. The first pod release will have wings shaped like an X, and it will have an S in the center of it. Collecting this power-up will cause your ship to increase speed. Collecting this pod will also grant extra firepower. Now, not only can you fire straight forward, but also at 45 degrees above and below the regular shot. These shots will also ricochet off the wall, allowing you to destroy more enemies. The next major enemy will be 16 enemies in a circular pattern. There will be a gap in this circle. These enemies will rotate in a counterclockwise pattern. You will need to fly into the gap in order to pass through. These enemies are invulnerable from the outside and can only be shot from within. Once inside the circle, these enemies will shoot at you. You can shoot these enemies for protection as well as extra points. Destroying these enemies will not remove them from the playfield, so you still must avoid the empty shells. One of these enemies will have a blue dome. Shooting this enemy will cause a chain reaction, causing all the enemies within the circle to explode. Whether or not you destroy these enemies, you must wait for the circle to rotate, allowing you to exit. Occasionally, when destroying one of the red-eyed enemies, they will leave a floating orb. Collecting this orb will cause it to join your ship. The orb will float either above or below your ship. These orbs will stay with your ship, although it takes time for the orbs to catch up when your ship moves. If these orbs contact enemies, the enemies will be destroyed. You can have up to 2 orbs at a time. Losing a life will destroy the orbs. The next force pod will be red. Collecting this pod will cause your ship to fire 2 shots, although instead of in a straight line, these shots will fly in a curlicue fashion, although they will still follow a straightforward path. These shots will destroy everything in their path without stopping. The next new enemy will be an orange humanoid. This enemy will fire multiple rockets at your ship. It will also fly around the playfield in an attempt to ram your ship. It will take 8 hits to destroy this enemy. After more enemies, you will face another red-eyed enemy, which will release a force pod with an M on it. Collecting this pod will allow your ship to fire heat-seeking missiles. These missiles will hone in on the enemies. After dealing with more enemies, you will then come upon the Stage 1 boss. This enemy will have a long tail as well as 4 orbs on its tentacles. In the center of the boss will be a green head. This head is the enemy's weak point. After about 15 seconds, the boss will begin moving to the left, giving you less of a safe area to fly around. It will take 10 hits to the head to defeat this boss. Once you defeat this boss, you will begin moving to the right and the screen will go black. You will then get the message Stage 1 cleared. You will get the message Stage Score and it will display how many points you earned. These are not bonus points like many games of the time would pay out between each round. Stage 2 will have a narrow entrance at the beginning. The walls will also look like they have enemies protruding from them. These enemies will come out of the walls and fly across the playfield at about a 45-degree angle. These enemies will have lobster-like claws. These enemies will not shoot at you, although due to their large number, they will block your ship, making it extremely difficult to pass. It will take 5 shots to defeat these enemies. While battling with these enemies, you'll face another new enemy which looks like a green tadpole with a red head. These enemies will move to the left, although they will move in a serpentine pattern. In addition, a flower-like enemy will emerge from the walls. You can destroy the flower enemies with 12 shots. Also, green jellyfish enemies will emerge from these flower-shaped areas. Shooting the jellyfish-shaped enemies will cause them to drop to the bottom of the playfield where they will continue to walk across the bottom. Shooting these enemies a second time will destroy them. The next force pod will be yellow. This power-up will allow you to shoot 6 large fireballs both up and down from your ship. Once these fireballs reach the outer wall, they will change direction and move forward, destroying all in their path. Now, the enemies with the claws will pause in the center of the playfield before continuing on. This will make it even harder to pass. The next force pod will be blue and will give you ricochet lasers like those you had earlier in the game. The next enemy will be a large centipede-like enemy with a head and a tail with 18 body segments. You can shoot the segments for extra points, although the head and tail are invulnerable. This enemy will serpentine through the playfield, making it difficult to fly safely through. After about 30 seconds of battling with the centipede, you'll come across the Stage 2 boss. This boss looks like a giant heart with 6 ventricles. Centipede will fly in and out of these ventricles during the entire boss battle. When inside the heart, Centipede will regenerate its body section. There will be a large eye at the top of the heart between 2 of the ventricles. This eye will open about every 5 seconds. This eye will rapidly open and close. The eye is the only vulnerable spot for the boss. This eye will continue to blink until you shoot it. Shooting it will cause it to close for about 5 seconds when it will begin blinking again. It will take 5 hits in the eye to destroy this boss. Defeating the heart will cause it to explode along with the centipede. You will then get the Stage 2 cleared message along with the points you earned during the round. Stage 3 is basically a long boss battle. At the beginning of Stage 3, you will immediately come upon a large spaceship. This ship will have what looks like a large exhaust port. The ship will fire a large flame out of the port. The flame will last for 2 seconds and be off for 3 seconds. Getting hit by the flame will cost you a life. In addition to the flame, the ship will fire large fireballs toward you. After about 10 seconds, a pod will emerge rearward. This pod is what had the large exhaust port. It will take 6 shots to defeat this pod. After the battle with the pod, the ship will block the top of the screen, which will force you to fly below the ship. On the outside of the giant ship, there will be guns that will continually shoot at you. You can shoot these guns for points as well as reduce the enemy shots. After about 25 seconds, a different pod will undock from the main ship. It takes 12 hits to defeat this pod. Then, there will be another pod just behind the one you just destroyed. This pod will take 6 hits to be destroyed. After this pod, you'll come upon 4 thrusters on the bottom of the ship. These thrusters will fire just for over a second before pausing for about 3 seconds. These thrusters will be able to change directions. You can destroy these thrusters with 2 shots each. After dealing with the thrusters, you will continue to fly to the back of the ship. You must then fly to the top of the ship where you will continue the battle. On the top of the ship near the left side will be a gray portion with a red eye. This eye will not only open and close, but the gray portion will move in and out. When it is out, it will release a large number of blue orbs. Contacting these orbs will cost you a life. The ship will only be vulnerable when the eye is open. It will take 15 hits to the eye to defeat it. Once you defeat this section, the entire ship will explode and move downward to the bottom of the playfield. After that, you will get the message Stage 3 cleared and the points you earned for the stage. Stage 4 will begin with the path completely blocked by a line of green and orange orbs. You need to shoot these orbs in order to safely pass. You can only destroy one orb per shot, although charging your cannon will allow you to destroy more. You will not earn any points for destroying these orbs. As soon as you're near this line, orange tanks will appear and fly from one side of the playfield to another, leaving a trail of new orbs, making it even harder to pass. You can shoot these tanks for extra points, although if you don't, they will continue off screen. In addition to the tanks, you'll face more enemies from earlier in the game. You will also face a red enemy that will move across the playfield. These enemies will chew through the red and green orbs. You can shoot these enemies for extra points. Near the end of the round, you will come upon a screen entirely filled with the green and orange orbs. Just like before, you need to shoot your way to safety. In several gaps of the orbs will be enemies that will be unable to move unless you shoot a path for them to escape and attack you. This section will last for about 20 seconds until you can escape. Once you pass through this section, the boss will appear from the left side of the screen. This boss is a large red ship with 3 external guns and a giant green eye. Almost immediately, the bottom section of the ship will detach and begin attacking alongside the main portion. When this happens, 2 more green eyes will appear, one on the detached portion and one extra on the main section. These eyes are the only weak points of these ships. After about 10 seconds, the detached portion will dock with the main portion. After another 4 seconds, the front portion of the ship will detach. Shortly thereafter, the bottom section will detach and all 3 sections will do battle with you. You will need to hit each section approximately 75 times to defeat it. You'll need to destroy all 3 sections to complete the stage. After destroying this boss, you will get the stage ending screen. During Stage 5, you will immediately come upon a large millipede-styled snake. This snake will have 7 sections in addition to the head and tail. These snakes will attack in a serpentine pattern. You need to shoot the head of the snake 15 times to destroy it, causing it to break into 9 sections. You must avoid these sections because contacting one will cost you a life. After dealing with many snakes, you will then face multiple green Y-shaped ships. These enemies will shoot lasers at your ship, which you must avoid because contacting one will cost you a life. You'll also face orange crabs that will shoot at you. You will then face large green ships that will fly to the left and shoot at you. You need to avoid these ships because they are invulnerable. You will then come upon the stage boss. This boss consists of a large hive of multiple green and red living orbs. These orbs will break away from the hive and fly outward toward the edge of the screen, and when they reach it, they will rebound and return to the hive. You need to shoot these pods 25 times in order to destroy them. As the pods are destroyed, you will see what looks like a satellite with multiple antennas sticking out of it. You need to destroy enough orbs to clear a path to be able to shoot at the satellite. It will take 20 hits to destroy the satellite. If you fail to destroy the satellite within 60 seconds, the orbs will scatter off-screen and the satellite will fly off-screen to the right. Whether you destroy the satellite or it escapes, the stage will end and you will get the end screen. For Stage 6, you will immediately come upon green walls with a narrow entrance for you to fly into. Along these walls there will be yellow spiders that will walk on them. It takes 2 shots to destroy these enemies. In addition to the spiders, there will be yellow rectangular tank-like enemies. These enemies will move along the walls and only change direction when they run into another wall, and then they will move along that wall. You need to move very carefully around these enemies because there is very little room between them and the walls, and contacting one will cost you a life. These tanks have 3 red eyes on the right side. These tanks are only vulnerable in these red eyes, requiring you to use your ricochet shots to destroy them. You will also battle enemies from past rounds while battling the tanks. You will do this for the entire round. Once you reach the end of the playfield, you'll face the final boss battle, although it is more of a battle of endurance. The tanks will continue to move around the maze of walls and continue to enter and exit. This will go on for about 35 seconds when the remaining tanks will exit the playfield and the screen will go black and you will get the end of stage screen. Stage 7 will begin with a red enemy flying through a narrow passageway which you must avoid or destroy. Once you pass through the passageway, you will face even more enemies from earlier. The entire time you fly through these passages, the walls will be exploding as if the entire area is about to self-destruct. After about 30 seconds, a large red rectangular ship will begin flying in from the left side. This ship can only be destroyed with your special weapon. If you don't destroy the ship, it will continue to fly to the right until it comes to rest against a solid wall at the right. Once it reaches the wall, it will stop and you can fly under it into a passageway continuing on. After entering the passage, you will face a large number of orange bugs from earlier in the game, making it extremely difficult to pass through. You will then face even more red ships while dealing with the orange bugs. This will continue until you reach the final boss area. The boss battle takes place in a trash room. This room will have 5 yellow domes at the top of the playfield. These domes will open and then trash will randomly drop into the heap on the floor. You must avoid the trash because contacting any of it will cost you a life. After about 10 seconds, a large snail-shaped monster with a blue eye will appear from the right. This eye is the only weak point for this monster. This monster will remain on screen for about 2.5 seconds. It will retreat off screen for about 5 seconds, and it will reappear again for 2.5 seconds, and this will continue. You need to shoot the enemy in the eye 40 times to defeat it. Defeating the boss will bring you to the end stage screen. Stage 8 will begin with what look like green alien babies. These enemies will fly in a straight line in an attempt to ram your ship. These enemies will fly off screen if you don't shoot them. You need to avoid or shoot these enemies because contacting one will cost you a life. During the battle with the alien babies, you'll also battle a white ship with 4 spiral-shaped arms. This ship will fly around in a serpentine pattern in an attempt to ram your ship. You need to avoid this ship because it is invulnerable and contacting it will cost you a life. After about 50 seconds, you'll come across the final boss, the Bido King. This boss is a large green troll-like head. This head will be protected by 2 large tentacled arms. These arms will pulsate. When the arms are pulsated outward, your shot will not reach the Bido King, although when they are relaxed, your shot will make it through. During this battle, the alien babies and the white spiraled enemies will continually fly around the playfield, making it difficult for you to attack the Bido King. About every 20 seconds, the Bido King will open his mouth and release an additional spiraled enemy. This will continue every 15 seconds thereafter, making it extremely difficult to attack the Bido King. This will continue until there are 4 spiraled enemies in all. 18 seconds after the 4th spiral appears, they will hone in on your ship. If you haven't collected enough speed-up pods up to now, the enemies will catch you, costing you a life. If you can survive 20 seconds with the spirals attacking you, the Bido King will explode, and you'll get the congratulations and credit screen. You will then get the message, enjoy the bonus game again, and you will replay the game at a harder difficulty. Scoring for the game is as follows. You'll earn 100 points for the miniguns, tadpoles, and falling trash, 200 points for the red-winged enemies, orange bugs, blue-domed enemies, red-eyed enemies, circle guns, centipede segments, gunships, red-clawed robots, and alien babies. You'll earn 300 points for the brown aliens, orange crabs, and spiders. You'll earn 400 points for the orange tank, green ship, and collecting any of the pods. You'll earn 500 points for each humanoid alien, blue walker, wall monster with crab and jellyfish. You'll earn 800 points for each humanoid enemy and millipede. You'll earn 1,000 points for each yellow tank, 1,200 points for the flowered enemies, and 1,500 points for the red rectangular ship. For the boss battles, you will earn as follows. For stage 1, you will earn 300 points for each orb and 5,000 points for the boss. For stage 2, you will earn 15,000 points for the boss. For stage 3, you will earn 12,000 points for the boss. For stage 4, you will earn 5,000 points for each boss segment. For stage 5, you will earn 300 points for each boss pod and 2,000 points for the boss satellite. For stage 6, you will earn no official points, although you will earn 2,000 points per tank. For stage 7 boss, you will earn 400 points, and you will earn 15,000 points for the Bido King. This was my first time playing this game, and I found it rather difficult and would have found it to be quite the quarter eater, so I wasn't a fan of this game, although I would still recommend playing it on an emulator or in a pay-one-price arcade. I like this game more than Double Dribble, but not as much as Arch Rivals, so R-Type shoots its way into the 210th position overall. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any games you'd like me to review, please leave a message below or on my homepage. Please remember to hit like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned to new videos on the first and third Sunday of the month.